Are you telling me to do 3, 2, 1, go?
No, are we good? Can we do it? We're gonna do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it.
Rasen, we've recorded a lot of things together. Why is this awkward?
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, everyone. It's your best friend. No, fuck.
Welcome to episode 1 of our podcast.
Yes. Hello, everyone. It's your best friend, Deftones Tony, and I'm here with my friend, American Prometheus.
Hi, I'm American Prometheus.
Just kidding. It's your best friends, Rasen and Zach. I'm Rasen. He's Zach. This is
I'm
weird.
not...
American Prometheus, shut the fuck up. This is We Are Finally podcast. So we saw The Dark Tower, which we're both big. We're big fans of that IP.
Yes.
Which I want to scrub my mouth out with soap now that I said that, but we're hashtag influencers. No, we're not.
The intellectual property of the dark fuck.
Of the dark fuck. Yep. Oh,
sorry.
Because our group Skype chat started going off.
I didn't turn it off. I didn't set myself to away. Oh, this is a good one.
This is a real good start to WAFp. Anyways, we're gonna have a Dark Tower Spoilercast, but before that, we're gonna we're gonna catch up. We haven't had a podcast in a while. That's because there's an E3 podcast we recorded that's really long and I'm not done editing, but it'll be up. You'll see it before this one.
We haven't had a podcast in a while, and yet they probably had one recently.
Yeah, probably. So yeah, we'll get into that a little bit. Anyways, so Zach, I want to start this off by talking about the best book to film adaptation I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So let's turn on our mystic eyes of depth perception and talk about Car no Kyoukai.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't expect that. I didn't put this in the agenda, fucker.
No. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a sick Dragon Ball joke.
No, it's not. Okay, to be fair, I know there's like there's 7 movies, right? And then there's like an epilogue thing and an OVA or something. I don't know. It's fucking...
There are 7 original movies, an epilogue OVA that was on the Blu-ray DVDs, and then an 8th, like, extra epilogue movie.
So, you told me that there's like a weird chronological, God, I don't know the proper,
The movies are not in chronological order.
Yeah, and I forget the name for that. It's a something or other. My mind is just pulling a blank on that term. But yeah, the it's like Memento. It's in a weird sequence of events. And am I glad you told me that going in, because if I had seen that first movie just with no knowledge, I would have said, what the fuck? I cannot imagine what that theater experience would have been like.
It's a really, really bad opening movie.
It is
not in a
incomprehensible.
bad movie. It's just really bad opening.
I don't know the characters' names other than Shiki.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? One of the main characters, not a huge spoiler, one of the main characters spends that entire movie in a coma.
Yeah.
So you've seen movie 1.
Yeah, and then I ran out of time, so I haven't been able to watch the others, but I that was a good rooftop fight scene.
Yes. Hey, so that's like the big hook of ooh, this UFO table studio seems like something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that was some real pretty water splashing effects in slow motion. I like the main character's design a lot, actually. The girl with the red jacket, she's neat. It was a little bit spookier than I thought I'd be getting into. A lot of ghosts.
Yeah, there's definitely, because your experience with Type Moon so far has been Fate.
Yeah.
And this is definitely
notes.
And notes. This is definitely a side of that company that you haven't seen yet.
Okay. Yeah, the only thing I really knew going in was that it's in a weird order, and also that the main character has mystic eyes of depth perception. And boy, I could tell because they glow purple, and I'm like, those are them.
Yep. Do you even know what that means?
No, but I saw through her vision and there were orange lines everywhere, and I'm like, I bet those are important, so I'm just gonna hold off for now.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, that's cool.
Yeah.
So what did you think overall, other than not knowing anything that was going on?
I thought it honestly was spooky. Thought it was pretty dark. It's the most obvious. Like I said, it's the most obvious. Like, boy, this is episode one of a 7 episode thing ever.
Yeah.
Um, I like that there is a scene of a woman with one arm trying really hard to open a bowl of strawberry Haagen-Dazs ice cream that
Yes.
lasts for like 3 minutes of a 50-minute film. Uh, it was really somber. And I know apparently this is like one
Yes.
of I know I say this like every time because I always get confused. This was one of the earliest things he wrote, right?
Yes. This is probably the earliest like published thing.
I can feel like junior year level of high school angst in this movie a little bit. Just a
Yeah,
smidge.
definitely.
So,
I think he wrote it after high school, and like at this point he had already come up with the basic concept of like what Fate would eventually become, and he had talked like he had come up with some concept of some other stories that were evolved later, but like I could be mistaken, but I believe the first version of Karen Kyoukai was published before Type Moon was a company.
ooh.
So like this is early stuff.
Mhm.
And boy oh boy will you notice a lot of let's call them prototype ideas that get reused in later stories.
I can't wait.
The main one that you won't see because you're not familiar with Tsukihime is that the main character of Tsukihime is a character named Shiki that has mystic eyes of death perception.
Oh, wow. Ooh. Okay, but wait. Isn't this in the same universe as that in Fate?
Yes.
So there's just two people with that going around
Yes.
that are different?
And,
That's
and
awesome.
there's
So
like
bad.
there's like a throwaway line in Tsukihime where it's like, "Oh yeah, I got these glasses from someone who knew someone with that once." Like it's great.
Oh, that's something. But
Um,
yeah, I dug it.
right.
I
So
was shocked that it was 2007. It
what do you
looks
mean?
really good.
Oh yeah. Like a lot of people, throw around the budget joke for a reason with them.
Yeah.
So like that's also part of the thing of like it was a movie, so it had a pretty big budget, so people are really excited to see what a movie from them is like 10 years later with Heaven's Feel.
Mhm. Yeah, I can
Uh,
see that. Definitely.
I'm excited for you to watch movie 2 cuz you'll understand why I have a hard time recommending either order to people.
Okay.
Because and I'm not going to go into like plot details, but it will be telling you a little bit. Movie 2 is the beginning chronologically.
Okay.
Um it is a very slow movie with almost no action.
Okay.
So it's kind of like you either start with movie 1 and have no idea what's going on, or you start with movie 2 and have kind of a misrepresentation of what the series is like as a whole.
Nice.
So there's really no two ways about it.
This is good.
And then they awkwardly have movie 3 in there, which is set around the time of movie 1, and then movie 4 is like directly after movie 2.
Oh my god. I kind of see why this one ain't as popular as Fate.
Yeah. So the payoff, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, movie 5 is fantastic.
Okay.
Like, movie 5 is one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
And then 6 is kind of the worst one, and then 7 is a pretty decent finale to the story. And then the epilogue is a nice epilogue. I never watched the 8th movie that they made later.
Oh.
I've had it like downloaded forever. I just never got around to it. Because like in my mind, that story wraps up really well, and I really didn't like. It's like an epilogue set like
more.
10 years. Yeah, it's like 10 years later, and I didn't really care. But I'll watch it one day.
Other than that, so I've been in a Dragon Ball mood because like Fighters is happening, and that game looks really good. And honestly, I've been meaning to do this for a while. It's been a long time since I've watched either Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, so I'm like, let's just fucking start this rewatch. It may take me a while. It'll probably take me a while. So I just started rewatching Dragon Ball. I got all the way through the Pilaf saga and a little bit into the second arc. I know you said that you didn't think like the beginning parts really held up all that well. I thought they were like a cute, enjoyable thing, but I would also understand why someone would be like, I just want to skip to the parts that are more fondly remembered.
Yeah, I rewatched the whole series a couple of years ago. Well, throughout like 2 years, I rewatched the whole thing. I found those first few arcs to be pretty rough.
You don't want to see Yamcha say Wolf Fang Fist in the same stock footage every episode, like that's not the greatest thing ever.
No, not really. um,
All the sex jokes.
it's well, those never really go away.
Yeah, they don't.
It's fun to go back in terms of like a let's see where this thing began aspect, but like there's a lot of episodes of kind of generic anime adventures to sit through of really really old animation and bad pacing, and like the show didn't take itself nearly seriously yet, which is totally a benefit for some people, but I don't get into that sort of thing as much.
I'm personally just having the enjoyment of like, man, remember when Oolong and Poir were important? Wasn't
Yeah,
that cute?
that's fun. That's fun.
Like, man, remember when Yamcha was a rival?
Yeah.
God. So
just to clarify, not to say like I'm not saying like, oh man, Dragon Ball sucks. Z is where it's at. Like I love the later half of Dragon Ball. I just think the first half is a little rough.
I've been digging it so far, and I honestly kind of got a little burnt out because I just watched like 20 episodes in close proximity, and I'm like, okay, I need to back off now.
Yeah.
But I plan on getting back to it probably after I'm gonna take a Car no Kyoukai break, and then I'll
Yeah.
get back into it.
Karen Kyokai is easy because it's just like a couple of movies of like very varying length.
I mean, when I was falling asleep Saturday, it's just like, oh, it's like 50 minutes. I can crank through that, and I just.
Man, I'm pretty sure one of them is like 40 minutes.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like barely movies at that point. It's like
I know.
kind of cutting it where it's like you could call these OVAs. Well,
Now,
I don't
to
know.
be fair, the longest one I think is like close to 2 hours. So
Yeah. But also too, like the distinction there's like I'm assuming these had like a theatrical release, which
yes, they did.
Yeah, so they are movies in that sense. They're not OVAs. So I started doing cocaine.
Good.
So I have a history to give with this one.
Oh, do tell.
Okay, so it all began about a year ago, where I was on Amazon, and Amazon recommended, oh god, I just realized the algorithms are to blame for all of this. Fuck capitalism. But anyways, it all began a year ago on Amazon, where I was looking through Zone of the Enders merch for some reason. I don't remember how I got to that point. Because I like Zone of the Enders, but like not enough to buy like most merch for it. And I saw this really cool Jehuti, which is the main mech of Zone of the Enders. I know you're not familiar with the series, but it's a really cool design. Right. I know I've sent you photos of those designs before. They're really sleek and nice looking. Yeah, probably my favorite mech designs. So I saw this really cool statue of Jehuti. I'm like, that's neat. And then upon further inspection, I saw that it was a model kit, which means that it comes in a bunch of different plastic sheets of parts, and then you assemble it yourself. And I was like, oh, that's fucking lame. Who the fuck would want to do that? And also, too, going back even years further, I was the guy that's like, man, I love these Gundam shows, but Jesus fucking Christ, I hate all these goddamn episodes that are just there to sell toys. What the fuck? I'm not buying models ever. Fuck that shit. Even a few years ago, I was like that guy that's like, who the fuck buys figures? What's the point? Just waste shelf space. And then I got I got a Transistor Red figure because I'm like, I really like Transistor and I really like Supergiant Games, and they're kind of a tiny indie studio. I want to support them, and I liked my Red figure. And then I got some Enter the Gungeon plushies and a Crow Funko Pop from Amanda. To be fair, she was drunk for one of those. Guess which. And also, too, I got the little Majora's Mask kind of crappy Skull Kid statue, but I like it a lot anyways. I'm not too picky. So I've like slightly kind of gotten more like like figure-esque stuff in my room over the course of the past like year or two.
I have a $100 Gilgamesh figure.
Nice. Yeah, Zach's like my opposite on this completely. um, so I don't remember exactly what the exact moment was where I decided I was going to. So, actually, I should get into that. So, I added that Jehuti thing to my Amazon wishlist just because, like, man, if it ever goes on sale or some shit for, like, $30, maybe. Um, Push comes to shove, and, like, a few weeks ago, I was just like, you know what? I think it'd be kind of neat to try out one of these Gundam kit things, and I kind of poked around and looked into it. There's a huge Gunpla YouTube scene, which actually I'm gonna shout out one guy I like a lot. He makes a shit ton of videos. He's the only Gunpla person I'm currently subscribed to. His name is Zaku Aurelius, and that's probably gonna be hard to spell, so I'm gonna put a link in the description. Seems like a super nice dude. And his whole thing is like he makes 3 videos for each kit. He makes like a quick unboxing, so you see all the parts you get with the kit before you assemble it. A quick minute-long view where he just shows you a 360 degree of the kit, and then a third video where he goes like in depth 10 to 20 minutes of discussing the kit and all of its problems and what he liked, what he didn't like, sort of thing. And also just a shit ton of tutorials and he also lives in South Korea, and sometimes he visits Japan, so he shows you kind of like what the stores and like the Gundam cafes and stuff look like over there. Really cool, comprehensive channel, and just really positive vibe to it that, you know, boy, one thing I'm just getting tired of in old age is people on the internet that are performatively mad all the time about stupid nerd crap. So, you know, it's just nice positive energy that you know, appealed to me. So I got a Gundam kit from Iron Blooded Orphans, which is the most recent series, which was about $15, and I was like, okay, let's look at how pricey it is to get the basic set of stuff I need for getting into this. There's like a really nice beginner's set you can get on Amazon for like $20 that people are like, yeah, this is good quality, it'll last you a while. And then you get like a nice little model making cutting mat. You can go really into it if you want and try getting into like painting and airbrushing and shit. I don't have the space for that, nor do I want to fucking have paints everywhere in my room, honestly. So I'm just gonna be building stuff and doing some. There are actually like markers that they make for this where you can kind of do some detail work with them. I bought some of those. And I made my first model kit, and it turned out kind of rough because there's some things that I forgot to do in the process during the first run, but it was a lot of fun, and honestly it was a lot more relaxing than I thought it would be. Like, it's just super chill. You just turn on a podcast and get to work, and it's something to do to keep your hands busy for an afternoon. And I really like how they turned out, and it was cheaper than I expected, so next thing I know, I bought a second one, and I got one in the mail yesterday and one in the mail today, and there are 7 more coming.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
7 more.
Okay, to be fair, they're mostly cheap. It's just that I bought like 10 of them. Yeah, no, yeah. But anyways, so I decided though, I was like, man, I should just give a brief little, because I've always wanted to have more Gundam type stuff on my channel, but also like I'm no expert on the series, honestly. It's just a thing I've kind of always liked since I was a kid, on and off. But it's been an interesting part of my life doing stuff throughout the years. So I actually recorded me building that first kit. And actually, what's funny is I was going to do a thing where I'm like, okay, I'm going to build this and like talk my way through it and kind of do like a single podcast, and the whole visual element will be me building the kit. And then I realized about 30 minutes in, oh, Jesus Christ, these things take hours to build. I can't talk about stupid shit about Gundam for that long. So I'm just going to do like a heavily condensed, like, watch me do like a kind of time-lapse thing where I slowly build the kit and talk about the problems with it, you know, what I had fun with, what I didn't like, while also just maybe shooting the shit and talking some basic Gundam stuff. I thought it'd be a fun little video idea. I call it build and chill, because that's what it is. I build stuff and we chill. So I want to do like that for at least the first 10, do like a weekly thing, and then I'll see from there. I probably at some point I'm gonna want to cool off on spending that much, even if, like, to be fair, most of them I bought are like $7, but also like, so actually, Zach, we talked about this because friend of the show, American Prometheus, Zach here, works for GameStop, and
I
yeah, they've been branching out in recent years because the game thing hasn't been doing as great as they want. I believe that at least that's the general idea behind it, right? They've kind of been branching out to Think Geek and figures and stuff.
I mean that's your assumption on the reason there is quite an assumption that I will not comment on.
Okay.
As
That
an employee of GameStop, we provide lots of nerd memorabilia for all types of people.
okay. I'm just saying this. Read a lot of articles about why that is, but sorry, I had to take a sip of root beer there.
Nice.
So yeah, you were talking to me like, what are you talking about, man? These model kits are pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So I learned the reason why Amazons are cheap. So I should also clarify, I don't have any local brick and mortar stores. At least the closest one I found was an hour away, and the selection is pretty bad. So here's the deal with Gunpla kits. When you order from Amazon, if they're not something that USA Bandai has in stock, it has to ship from Japan, which can take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month and a half.
Yes, I've ordered a lot of figures from Japan.
Yeah. So that's the thing, is you get it for what you get it roughly for what a Japanese consumer would get it for, but it's going to take a while to get there. But if they do have it in stock, it's 2-day shipping sort of thing. So you just kind of have to watch and see how long you want to wait. Or if you don't want to wait, there are USA Online Gunpla stores that are officially Bandai sponsored, and they will import it for you and then deliver it. And it's not too much more expensive. But that's just an option if it's like, hey, I don't want to do like expedited shipping from Japan, but I also want this faster than a fucking month and a half sort of thing.
Yeah. But like the ones in GameStop are like between 30 and $80, you know?
So here's the thing so there are different grades. The one I started with is a high grade kit, which is kind of, so from what I believe, it's weird because they started doing this thing in the 90s where they graded them based off of their quality and how affordable they were. So in the 90s, the peak of the line apparently was this thing called high grade. Over time, as they've gotten better at engineering these things, high grade is just the standard now. And then they developed, and also high grade kits are 1 to 144th scale, meaning it's 144 times smaller than what the Gundam is supposed to be in the fiction. And then they started making master grade, which are these bigger kits that are 1/100th scale, so slightly bigger, and they have a lot more detail. Recently, they've introduced a thing called real grade, which is the smaller size, but with as much detail as the master grade, which is kind of like a combination of the two. And also, there's like these chibi, like super deformed ones, which are really easy to make. They're kind of more for like kids or people that are just really like passive fans. But I have a lot of fun building those too. So there's a lot of different grades at different price points. I think the ones that are like, 40 to 80 in the store probably are the master grade ones. There's a few that I really want, but also like they go anywhere from, like you said, 40 to the one I want that I know I'm probably never gonna buy is about $100. It really depends on how much plastic and how much detail they put into them. Some of them are a lot more premium than others, sort of thing. But one thing I do appreciate, though, that I thought was really neat, unless it's like a very limited time special edition type of thing, they constantly are republishing all of their kits. Like, if they're out of stock, you just have to wait like a month and they'll probably have it back, which I thought was really interesting. But, I mean, hey, if there's a demand for it, why stop, so.
Yeah.
So that's neat. But yeah, I encourage anyone who wants to give it a try to maybe pick up a SD kit or just something that's cheap off of Amazon and spend an afternoon working at it. I don't think it's a hobby that's definitely it's not for everyone. One thing that I really enjoyed with it, though, is like, you can really go as deep in as you want. If you just want to build it out of the box, it looks fine. If you want to go a little bit further and do some detail work with some markers, the markers are super cheap, and it's just a matter of, hey, do you have a kind of steady hand and can erase quick before paint dries? Or if you want to go fucking full in and like start like mixing paints and getting like anime specific colors and like make it look like the show or customize it or mix different model kits together, you can go in there and there's a lot of guides and documentation online for that. Like it's really like its own little unique sort of weird art form.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the Gunpla scene became so popular that it became its own franchise of Gundam. There are anime and video games about building Gundam kits.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a huge thing.
And I know I've talked about Gundam Breaker 3 on this podcast before. I went back and played that again recently just because I've been in the mood. Boy, does that game make a lot more sense now that I'm fucking actually in there. So one detail I never fucking noticed. The actual grades of the Gunpla are reflected in that game. Sometimes there are like enemy Gunpla that spawn in that are kind of like mid-boss characters. Those are master grade Gunpla.
Nice.
You play as a high grade, and I always wondered like, geez, why are these mid-bosses so big? It's because they're actually like the kit they're based on is bigger than yours. Which is like a super cute little thing that I thought was neat.
Yeah.
And there's also, like, really absurd shit. Like, there's, like, a perfect grade, which are, like, hundreds of dollars, and, like, no one buys them. But they're, like, fucking display statue pieces that are, like, 1/60th. Like, they're huge. And they have, like, LEDs and shit. It's ridiculous. Also, check out the Gunpla subreddit. People post their, like, you have everything from, I made my first kit, and everyone's like, yo, I hope you enjoy the hobby, too. Yeah, I made my 80th kit. Here's all the metallic paints I used and all of the different acrylics. Like, it's such a fun little thing. I've really enjoyed my time with it so far. So, yeah. I just need to kind of worry now about where I'm going to display all these, and to be honest, maybe I might do some giveaways in the future as I start to not want all of them.
You need to just get a shelf and start displaying them, man.
Yeah.
And
I have
the most important part.
Yeah. I have a bookshelf that has like a decent amount of space, but like
Sorry, you know the most important part?
What?
Don't throw away those boxes.
Oh. You know what? Fuck me. Because all of those boxes are in my closet right now, because the art on them is real good.
Chick, fuck you!
Yeah. We had a very large debate the other... Okay, wait, hold on. Fuck you. To be fair. So, all these goddamn kits come with, like, 80 bajillion weapons for your fucking Gundam to hold. Fuckers only have 2 hands.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so you gotta fucking put them somewhere.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But for, like, fucking, like... I don't give a fuck about this... Well, actually, no, this Odin Sphere box is nice. But for, like... I don't give a fuck about this, like, Majora's Mask limited edition box.
I think my case has been made when you said the art on them is nice.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry. Most boxes are terrible. So okay, so let's make this a public dispute. Zach,
okay.
Zach is one of those people who, like, when he gets a limited edition, he's like, no, I gotta keep the box. Whereas me and other people are like, hey, I just want the shit inside the box. The box is just taking up extra space. I don't need no box.
The box is part of the limited edition.
It's fine. It's cardboard.
It's part of the package.
Yeah, but who cares?
Me.
Okay.
I would not be spending so much money on a limited edition if I wasn't going to keep it complete.
Sometimes you just want your dumb Morgana Happy Meals toy and dumb school bag that I've never used ever.
My Morgana Happy Meals toy and school bag are nice, safe, and sound inside that box.
Oh man, I should start using that fucking Shujin Academy bag for like camera equipment. Wait, no, I actually think there's a video where John Harden warned against doing that. So
yeah, I actually think I think he was talking about like laptops. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but like $700 DSLR camera is not.
Yeah. No. Yeah, like yeah.
Maybe
because it's not padded on the inside, I think is what they said.
Well, I also think they said that water can leak through easily. or something like
Also,
that.
you don't want people knowing you like Persona. Come on, man.
Yeah, honestly. So yeah, that's been my Gunpla adventure. Please stay tuned for me building Gundam Barbados real badly on Sunday. I'm looking right now at my 8th MS team Gundam ground type and my Char Zaku 2 from Gundam The Origin kits that are unbuilt. I'm excited to build them. Sorry, one thing. Zach, you didn't watch Gundam Thunderbolt yet, did you?
No, I still haven't dove into larger Gundam beyond what I had seen when we first talked about it.
Okay, I think I've told you about Thunderbolt though. It's another like
Yes.
1 year war side story type thing.
It's on the list of things that I will watch.
So
I had a pause there. I'm gonna explain that pause in a moment. Say what you want to say.
I was gonna say, Gundam Thunderbolt was a 4-episode OVA series that was really fucking good. Honestly, one of the better Gundam things. I know a lot of people are like, oh, this is the new place to start, but also, like, the Gundam pilot in this one is kind of the villain, kinda. So I don't think it's a good place to start, just because it kind of is misrepresentative of the rest of the series, but it's really fucking good. And it ends on a really strong note that I'm not going to spoil or anything, but I was like, wow, that's a great ending. And then I saw that Season 2 was announced. Thunderbolt is based off of a manga that is still ongoing to this day, apparently, and I totally didn't know that until Season 2 got announced. I was like, oh, I just thought that was like a nice side story, but no, it's continuing. Season 2 was less good. It's still really strong, but it wasn't like, I felt like 1 had a really nice, great story to tell that was really focused and character driven. 2 is just a continuation of that, but I kind of didn't feel like I needed a continuation, but it justified its existence enough. Really great music. They kind of have this thing where the 2 rival characters in the series have like a different tastes in music. Like the Gundam pilot is super into jazz and the Zaku pilot is super into pop. And they play off of that super hard, and they did it even better in this season than I think they did in the first season. Man, I hate to say it, but watching this show after getting into this thing, there is a fucking point in the show where I'm like, man, this Gundam design is really cool. I wonder how much the model kit costs. I'm like, fuck. It's working. Those bastards. Also, too, so I realize now why most of those designs have very uniform color schemes. I mean, 1, to be fair, it works within the show because they make a big deal out of, like, oh, it's military equipment. But, like, they only have so many plastic sheets of parts to give you, and all those plastic sheets need to be the same fucking color.
Yeah.
You can only have so many different color variation before the kits start to get more expensive.
Hey.
So, hey, kind of understand a bit of that more from a design point of view, but yeah. No, Gundam Thunderbolt Season 2 was really good, though. I'm really excited to see what Gundam Thunderbolt 3 is doing, but I don't know. Anyways, let's move on to you now. What are you saying about Gundam Pause?
No, I mean, you still have stuff you want to talk about, but my pause was because my laptop died the other day.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
And I knew it was going, which is part of why I bought my desktop, but I wasn't prepared for it to go so suddenly. There's a lot of stuff I had on there that I don't have backed up or re-downloaded anywhere, and like I've probably said on this podcast before that, like, yeah, I've got like the entirety of Gundam, like every series I want to watch downloaded, ready to go whenever I want. And like that was the moment just there when I paused, when I realized that I need to go get all that stuff again.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
No, other than that, though, we finished 2 LPs in the meantime since we've last talked about LPs on this podcast. I still need to, like, put them up, but we finished the recording process.
I mean, hey, Zelda's probably still going to take a while.
Zelda's going to take a while. Drakengard is probably going to be done by August.
Yeah. Also, we did talk about maybe starting Zelda up again later this year, so
yeah,
it's finished for now, but there might be more.
We have DLC to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was fun. I think we learned a lot as entertainers.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call myself an entertainer, but sure.
I think I learned a lot as an editor. And I also learned that, boy, fucking everyone on YouTube who does daily content, even if it's like dumb clickbait shit, like, man, that shit's harder than it looks. Props.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm slow at editing and putting things up. I'll be better at that. I won't, but, you gotta make the promise or else you look like an asshole.
Yeah. Make the promise and then fail to deliver.
That's kind of my gimmick at this point.
Well, I think that's how all of YouTube works, isn't it?
Yeah, to be honestly. This is all just bullshit, this entire website. And I started an RPG analysis series, so that was neat.
Yeah, you did. Hey, man, we haven't really talked since you put that up. That's a good fucking video.
I'm happy with it. I speak a little fast sometimes when I get excited, so I'm going to work on that, but I'm happy with it overall. I want to do, I already started recording. I'm going to do the first Mana game, and it's 2 English translated remakes next, because I haven't played Sword of Mana since I was a kid, and I never played the other 2 versions, so good excuse to do that. I've never been super into the Mana series, so I kind of want to see what that's like from an adult perspective, see if I like it more now that I'm, a little more open to games that I don't immediately latch onto. Honestly, I think it's about time I finally fucking just finish Xenogears later this year, too. After Persona 5, so...
man, that's a game that I really need to, actually play all the way through as well.
I've put a good amount of time into it when I was younger, on and off, and I liked a lot of... I distinctly remember liking the beginning part of that game. I know it kind of goes to shit later on, but, hey...
Well, I think I might have mentioned on this podcast before, and if I did, I'm not going to get into the whole story again, but due to reasons, I only ever had Disc 1.
Oh.
And I don't even know if I ever got all the way through Disc 1 or not, but I just know that I only had Disc 1.
It's a PSN Classic now for $8 if you ever wanted again, so...
I have it on PS3, I bought it.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't gone through it. But, I was a fan of... It's
been sitting on my PS3 for 2 years.
Yeah. I was a fan of Xenosaga, and I enjoyed what I played of Xenoblade, but, I think it's funny that I have never actually completed anything in that series.
Honestly, I feel like that's pretty normal. I know so many people that bought both of the Xenoblade games, and they just never finished because those games are fucking massive.
Yeah. And even, Xenosaga Episode 1, the first one, I'm pretty sure I got, 90% through and didn't actually finish. Mm-hmm. And then Episode 2, I got halfway through, didn't finish, and I never even picked up 3.
I have a very distinct memory of why I stopped playing Xenogears as a child.
Why?
So this was, also, to keep in mind when I was a kid, this is, pre-Amazon, when you wanted a fucking old PS1 game, you needed to go on eBay and get lucky that it was, not a shit copy. Hey, that's how I got FF7 and 9. And Advent Children, surprisingly enough. But I remember never being able to find a copy of Xenogears for cheap on eBay, at least cheap enough that I could afford around that time, so I emulated it. Now, keep in mind, PS1 emulation is still kind of a little iffy to this day, but it's a lot better than it was when I was a kid. There was a very specific boss about 1/3 of the way through that game, and if that boss used its healing move, the game crashed. It was a hard freeze on whatever emulator you used. It was a very common problem. And the everyone online was just yeah, you just gotta spend 4 hours grinding so you can just beat it fast enough before it uses that move. And I was like, fuck that. So I never went further with it. I'm pretty sure that might have been, I think that Xenogears, it might have been Grandia, but I'm pretty sure it's Xenogears. I don't know, people in the comments will correct me.
No, they won't.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, that's it. Please look forward for more hashtag content. I have a lot in the pipeline. I've had a lot in the pipeline for a long time now. I need to stop making new things, to be honest with you.
Let's stream more PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
Yep.
Speaking of creative content,
yeah,
I'm gonna go out of order here because this is a nice segue.
Okay.
So, I have a fidget spinner.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
I got a fidget spinner for my job.
Thanks.
It's Destiny 2.
Oh.
Do you hear it?
Yeah.
It's my fidget spinner. So anyway, I mentioned like a year ago on this podcast that one day I want to either write a blog post or make a video about .hack sign. I'm watching through .hack sign again. I'm going to give it an honest shot. If I don't like the way it's going, I'll just turn it into a dumb blog post, but I'm going to give it an honest try because I want to talk about that series a lot, both like the good and bad, but like specifically the way it handles its characters and what it says about the internet and people that use it that nothing else I've ever seen really touches on. So
I'm sorry, I was waiting for you to bring that back to the fidget spinner for like a comprehensive thing. Did you say you were gonna try video series and then just turn it into a blog if it didn't work out? Did I get that right?
yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I was anticipating something that wasn't there.
Sorry, no, I'm Rasen, I'm being serious right now. What the fuck, man?
I know. What fidget spinner? Oh, that one. Don't do that. Oh, that's so weird.
You can edit it.
No.
So yeah,
My pain is everyone's pain.
So here's the thing. For reasons that we're totally not going to talk about in this podcast at all, I pulled all of my Dark Tower books out and just have them sitting next to my bed, and I've kind of like slowly been going through the Gunslinger again. Mm-hmm. So about 5 episodes into my .hack sign rewatch, my laptop died where I had the episodes. So I went and I pulled out all my old .hack sign DVDs. And Jesus. Like, when I'm holding these DVDs, I'm talking like I've had these things since like 2003. And God. Like they're beaten up, the cases are like dented and wrinkled, the DVDs aren't great condition. And like I sat them next to the beat up Dark Tower books, and just looking at these things, I'm like, this is a weird emotion I'm having right now. This is not good. But yeah, so I'm watching my fucking .hack sign DVDs. So
oh God, that's great.
In other .hack talk, we talked about on the last podcast .hack GU Last Recode.
Mm-hmm.
So, just a little update in case anyone didn't know. Not only is that .hack GU volumes 1, 2, and 3, but brand new GU content, volume 4, is being added to the end of that game.
It's not an epilogue, it's its own volume.
Well, hey, they're calling it Volume 4, and they're saying it's gonna be a full new story. A year and 3 months later, Haseo returns to the world.
It's so specific.
It's hey, man.
Why not just say 15 months?
So here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We made a joke about that the last time we talked, I think. Mm-hmm. And since then, they've posted more stuff from, like, their article or whatever. And one of the things that was there is, like, a comprehensive timeline of all the different versions of the world. I think what this might be, and the reason why they were, like, very specific about the time that it takes, I think this story is set during the end of the world R2. So they're like, no, it's specifically 1 year and 3 months because that's when we said that version of the game shuts down.
Nice.
So I think that might be where they're going. So Haseo has a new form where he looks like he's trying to be Pirate Dante.
Yeah.
It's good.
Some people say he looks like the Demi-Fiend. I don't see that, but I definitely see, like, kind of Dante vibes.
Well, I mean, he's got a long jacket with a red theme and he's shirtless underneath, so
yeah.
Also, he has a giant sword that he holds like he's Dante.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if you're at all interested in .hack, maybe check that out because it's also brand new .hack content that I really didn't think we were ever gonna get. Hey, yeah. I hope it's good. .hack kind of ended pretty bad, so we'll see how that is.
I'm actually excited to play that.
Yeah. To bring it full circle, I pre-ordered my copy of Last Recode. I pre-ordered it by canceling the Destiny 2 pre-order I had to get the fidget spinner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
So the only other thing I've been doing with my time really worth talking about is that I played Nier. Played as in fully. I beat it. I did everything, you know.
Which I have not done. I've just watched that game. You went in.
Yeah, I got all the endings. I don't know the exact number. I want to say I was probably at like 30 to 35% side quests, which is fine.
Yeah, you don't need to do all of them.
So I've talked about it a little with like you and people, but like I haven't really said super a lot about my feelings on that game because I kind of just dove right into Automata, which I'm only like 8 hours into Automata, but in regards to the original Nier, that might be one of my favorite video games of all time.
It's really good.
I fucking love that game. And I say that with the like little asterisk of like, hey, for the first like 10 hours of that game, I really didn't even know if I liked it at all. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, hey, that second half is real good.
Isn't it a fucking shame most people stop today?
Yeah, man, it really is. Like, even,
wow.
even the last couple hours of A are fantastic, but then, like, man, when you get to, like, all this, like,
it's a different game.
The thing is, it's not a different game.
It's not, but
it's the same exact game, but you learn one detail that changes everything.
It's the best. And I can't believe I'm saying this, it made me retroactively mad at FF10 and Wind Waker.
Fair enough.
That's a very specific reference to a very specific thing, but the people who know.
Yeah, I get it. So, also, I am playing through Automata now. I don't have a lot to say about it yet. Also, hey, you did a whole podcast on it.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that I am sure there will be cool stuff to come in Automata, but like early on in Automata, I'm starting to see a lot of repeated themes in Yoko Taro's games. Like,
yeah,
the thing that he touched on briefly in the background of Drakengard is made a huge deal in Nier, and now is brought up kind of like the same theme in the beginning of Automata, and I'm like, I hope there's a twist to this, because like it's getting a little like, you already did this a bit, but
I act like that. Looking back on it, like this is probably one of my bigger complaints with the game, but also it's like it's a problem, but it's also kind of a non-problem in my mind
because it's so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think he totally knew that Automata was gonna be way bigger than his other shit. Like he always has been joking. Like he jokes like, "Why would anyone buy my shit games? Oh, everyone knows I make bad games. Everyone bought Automata though. It makes me so happy." Yeah. I think he kind of knew that this one would be a little bit bigger of an audience.
Well, it had Platinum Games behind it.
Yeah. Throughout Automata, and you're right, I'm not gonna say anything other than this, but it does go into different shit. Thank God. You can definitely see things where it's like he knows he can get away with doing this again because a shit ton of people will play this without playing Nier or Drakengard.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is fair. Like,
yeah,
but it's also, if you've played the other ones, it's like a little like, oh, that's not as fresh as some people think it is, sort of.
Yeah, definitely. It's also the fact that like it's so dominant. The thing I'm talking about in particular dominates a lot of the beginning part of the game, and it's like, I get it. I got it 3 games ago, but it's cool. Yeah. Nier is so good, and I highly recommend if anyone wants to play it, really give it a shot. Even if you've already played Automata, I highly recommend you at least attempt to get into the first Nier, because there's a lot of merit to that game on its own.
And if you want the full experience, you should watch your LP of Drakengard.
Honestly, dude, yeah. Like,
yeah.
I would not have appreciated Nier as much if I had not had that Drakengard experience.
This is really petty and stupid. The whole reason I became interested in any of Yoko Taro's thing is when I learned the dumb continuity between Drakengard and Nier, I was like, this is everything I want in a dumb fictional multiverse.
It's fantastic.
It's really good. Yeah, it's and honestly we finished the LP at the perfect time.
Yes. Like,
Wait,
eerily perfect.
yeah, like Zach was completely unspoiled on Drakengard shit, and as soon as like we finished that Drakengard LP, Zach got to the parts of Nier that kind of start to reference that more.
Like, literally, we finished recording, I booted up the game, like, the next morning, and the first thing that happens after I load up that save file is they talk about something that would have obviously spoiled part of Drakengard for me.
Yeah.
Good
So yeah,
stuff.
I'm glad you like it though. Nier is really great. I mean, it's weird because when I play through that game finally, because I do plan on playing through it, it's gonna be kind of. It's one of those things where like I'm so familiar with it at this point because I watched a playthrough years ago, and then I watched two best friends go through it as like my
Yeah,
second experience with it. It's kind of gonna be like a formality at this point because I
that's
kind of
fair.
get it, you know. But like, man, what a fucking great story.
Like, honestly, I totally get people that just, like, watch LPs and playthroughs of that game, but, like, there is a part deep down in me that's like, if I really want to experience something, I have to do it myself, you know?
Yeah.
And
Well,
like I feel a connection to that game that I think that maybe a lot of people might not feel that just watched it. But
mhm.
if you know what happens at the end of that game, you'll know why I say that. But
So that's what I was about to bring up.
yeah,
He actually said that he designed the original Nier with the YouTube, Twitch audience type thing in mind.
that's interesting.
He took note that more and more people were going online and watching other people play through or not his games, but games in general, and he said, "What can I do that would be an emotional experience for only the player?"
Hmm. Okay.
And
So I'm
that's
not crazy for feeling that then.
Yeah, no, that was completely intended. Actually, I thought it's kind of funny because I kind of wondered like I wonder if that's like super because I mean like I felt it just watching it. I feel, but like I know it's not my thing, so I know it's obviously not. I'm
Yeah.
trying to around spoilers here, but like I know I wasn't getting the full thing out of it, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to hear that you had that feeling. But yeah, he created that intentionally in mind. He said with YouTube, Nico Doga or whatever that's called, like in mind that
Yeah.
people play through games online for others now. So
Yeah, I like I've been thinking about Nier like at least every other day, you know?
yeah,
And it's been a couple of weeks now since I finished it. Also, it's kind of the thing where like a couple of like at least like 2 or 3 times a week I've gone back and just like watched scenes again on
hmm
YouTube, and it's like I can't remember the last time I wanted to do that where it's like I just want to see that set again, you know?
hmm
So, man, and hey, I played through the second half of that game like 3 to 4 fucking times, like, and I still want to look up some of those cutscenes again, you know?
do what I do and just have the soundtrack almost always playing on your phone.
Hey, man, that music is some of the best music I've ever heard in my fucking life.
It's beautiful.
And like honestly,
It's so
beautiful.
good.
Beautiful is the only word to describe it. Like
Yeah.
the, that is music that you put that on and like you just feel things. And it doesn't have to be connected to the game it comes from. It's just really good music.
Yeah, honestly.
Also, I watched Castlevania Netflix.
I didn't yet.
I'm not going to spoil it. Um the only thing I'll say is that the last time we talked about this on this podcast, I was getting kind of hyped for it. Um, there are really cool elements of that series, but I think in the end it's not very good. Um, they spend 3 of 4 episodes on what should have been like a minor subplot, and it doesn't feel like Castlevania should feel. By the
Thanks, Lauren
time
Ellis.
by the time they get around to actually being fucking Castlevania in episode 4, it's pretty fucking cool. And I'm honestly looking forward to season 2, but ultimately I was disappointed.
I'll watch it at some point.
Yeah, I mean it's basically the equivalent of watching a movie. It's 4 episodes that are like 25 minutes each, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Does that leave us with our main?
Yep, that's kind of all I've been doing.
Whew, okay. So, we made this podcast specifically for this moment. We both saw the Dark Tower movie, as I said, being big Stephen King and Dark Tower fans.
Yep.
We have not talked at all about our feelings of this movie before this conversation that we're recording.
I want to point out, too, like, we both saw the first screening of this movie. We walked out of the theater, like, 2 hours ago, you know? Like,
yeah, like, straight up. Like, I got back a few hours ago. So, do we want to talk about our history with the books?
Yeah, let's build this up.
Okay, so when I was like 15, maybe honestly it might have been like late 14, early 15.
Yeah.
I discovered the Dark Tower series. And it meant a lot to me growing up just cuz it was like it was a very I think this is how I want to describe it from now on. It was a very formative piece of fiction for me where it just did things that I'm like, you can do that in a book series? Like it really opened my mind up to kind of the possibility you can do in like a written space in terms of writing and storytelling and stuff like that. And let's be honest, it's a very experimental work in many ways. Doesn't always work out, especially towards those last three books, which are very flawed and a lot of people hate, understandably. I still kind of love books 5 and 7. I think book 6 is kind of a piece of shit. I still really have strong feelings for a lot of the dumb, goofy shit in those past 3 books because it meant a lot to me when I was younger. Those final couple books came to me at a point in my life where I was starting to become a little bit more jaded about the whole, like, religious education and Catholic confirmation stuff I was getting into. Not to make this too super personal, but those books presented to me kind of like a weird sort of spiritualism that I could kind of get behind. Like, not to say I stole my personal beliefs on shit like that verbatim from the books, but it kind of got me thinking in a general direction of, like, maybe it's possible to live kind of like a personal, individual, like, kind of spiritual life while also not being weirdly dogmatic about stuff, which meant a lot to me as, like, a young growing up person trying to make sense of our very complex world. So yeah, it just in general meant a lot to me. And also too, I just think that as a character piece, those books are great at exploring a group of about 5 characters over a elongated adventure and really getting into their heads, which is neat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it means a lot to me. And also, honestly, book 4 of Dark Tower is probably my favorite piece of individual fiction ever made. So.
And you've reread them more recently too, right?
I'm like halfway through Wastelands right now.
Okay.
So I still haven't done the full thing. I've never read Wind Through the Keyhole, I should say too. So I'm gonna include that in the reread at 4.5. So.
Same. I'm also rereading them.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my history with the Dark Tower is kind of just tied into my history with Stephen King in general. I started reading Stephen King really young. Like, younger than I think you should start reading Stephen King. Like, if I had a kid at that age and they wanted to read Stephen King, I would probably freak out.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it was there in my school library.
Dude, same. We had, you want to know the first, you actually want to know how I got into King?
How?
Fuck. Okay, so I don't know if, actually, no, I don't think this was my first book. It might have been The Shining that I got from a relative. I can't remember anymore. But I know for a fact one of my early experiences with Stephen King was in 7th grade. In our middle school library, they had Salem's Lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
I forget which one mine was. Honestly, I really forget which one mine was. It might have been... Oh, God, what's the fucking... Oh, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. It's the one where the guy's in a coma and then wakes up.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of it either.
Yeah. Anyway, it might have been that one. But, so, we had like a whole Stephen King section in my library, and for stupid, not whatever reasons, I had like a leg injury and was out of gym class for like a semester plus. So I just sat in the library and finally was like, you know what? I've always heard this guy's name. I'm just gonna like pick one of these books and start reading at every gym class. Um, and I saw like the first 3 volumes of the Dark Tower there, but it was always a thing of like, well, that's like multiple books. I'll get to that at some point. And then I forget how I found out that
decision.
I forget how I found out it was tied into the other things, but it became this thing in my head of like, I'll always get to the Dark Tower soon, you know? Like, that sounds so fucking dumb.
That's the cheesiest shit in the world.
I don't mean it like that, but it was kind of that, you know? It was like, I just want to keep reading Stephen King, but like, the Dark Tower has to be the finish line. I'll get to that eventually. And at some point I found myself just kind of like, well, you know, I've read The Stand, I've read The Shining. I feel like I've conquered all of his big ones, and I started reading the fucking garbage because hey, there's some fucking garbage. And that was
his
when
output is pretty bad.
Yeah, that was when I was just like, you know what, it's time.
He's my favorite author. He's my favorite author. Boy, has he written some fucking schlock.
Yeah. So I started like a year-long read of The Dark Tower. And just every time I finished a book, I'd, you know, save up my money and buy the next one. Because at that point, I wasn't even, you know, going to the library anymore. But I was collecting I have a huge Stephen King book collection, by the way. All ratted up and not well maintained in my closet.
Mine is getting up there, honestly.
Mine's all from when I was a kid. Like they're not... I'm pretty sure... I think I actually bought a new copy of The Shining because my copy was like ripped up.
I always did public library versions because like I know for a fact my high school library didn't have like any King, but my middle school one did, weirdly enough.
Yeah.
So I always did public library versions until actually, you know what, the one fucking one I bought as a kid for some reason was Eyes of the Dragon, but yeah.
Nice. So, The Dark Tower was a thing for me where I got so into it that, like, I didn't just read it once. I would read a book and then, like, just keep reading it. And I did that with a couple things. I did that with Harry Potter as a kid. Mm-hmm. I would, like, casually do it with Lord of the Rings, but I never, like, really sat down and, like, did, like, consistent read-throughs of Lord of the Rings. But I just really, really... enjoyed reading in that period of my life. I wasn't really playing a lot of video games or watching TV. I was just like, if I had free time, I would read Harry Potter or The Dark Tower again. Specifically, for Dark Tower specifically, 2, 3, and 4 are the ones that I would constantly go back to. So yeah, I love those characters a lot. But hey, that was a long time ago. And I kind of, it's one of those things that just kind of like slipped in the back of my mind, and I haven't really thought about it in like probably 10 years, you know? So, we've been talking about the Dark Tower a lot, and it's been a thing where a lot of the minor details are things I've forgotten. I remembered like the main broad strokes and like obviously the stuff that stood out to me, but the Dark Tower being relevant has been a rediscovery of part of my childhood that I've kind of let, you know, fall away. So that's
where it never stopped for me, baby.
That's where I'm at with it, you know.
Yeah. So, I think what we're gonna do now, if this is the format we can decide on, I want to make a general feel statement for both of us on the movie. So I'm going to start with mine.
Okay.
Then you can do yours. I've been thinking about this since I drove home, by the way. Like, as soon as I got into my car, I started to formulate this thought in my head. So, throughout my life, there are touchstones of quality, which is a very specific phrasing. When I think of a 10 out of 10 thing, I think of a few things. I think of, like, Majora's Mask, Final Fantasy IX, Mother 3, Earthbound. Get some movies in there, probably like Dark City, Donnie Darko, both really, really like those films. I know Donnie Darko is kind of a weird movie, but, you know, The Matrix, Shawshank Redemption. really like those films. When I think of a 9 out of 10, I think of something like Devil Survivor 2. That's like a real 9 out of 10 game to me, even though it's one of my favorites. Then, like, opposite direction, 1 out of 10, I think of, like, crappy early access games on Steam, Batman vs. Superman, that sort of thing. The Dark Tower is now my touchstone for a 4 out of 10.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, your thoughts?
So we're probably going to have some interesting conversations ahead, but I am going to give the general opinions of I have never loved a garbage movie more than this.
I can agree with that. I can really agree with that.
That's my broad strokes.
Yeah. This is a movie for no one.
This is a movie for me.
Yeah, like, honestly, I feel like us in this Skype call are probably 2 out of 17 people in this world that like this film.
This film is...
And I'm saying like with, like, scare quotes.
No, man, I honestly, I just legitimately like this movie. But that comes with the caveat of, like, you have to be able to like something that's not good.
Yeah, like, that's kind of where I'm at, because, like, I can't say I don't know if I can say I truly like it, because I had a fun time, but also, like, I know it's bad,
Dude,
like...
I had a fucking blast with this movie, and a lot of that comes from, like... a lot of that comes from me being, like, this is... Hey, honestly, if you watch the trailers, you know what you're fucking getting into with this thing.
Yeah.
This was never gonna be a good movie, so maybe expectations was a part of it, but, like...
Well, the fact that, like, embargo lifted super early and everyone's like, yeah, it's shit. Kind of.
There are so many specific things I want to touch on, but, like...
Same.
This movie, it is baffling how this thing is put together.
The one thing that I've been seeing everywhere, from people kind of talking now that it's out there and they're allowed to talk, and also just from what critics have thought about, a lot of cooks in the kitchen in this movie. A lot of test audience-ing. A lot of cobbling together of something to get something out there, and you can feel it super hard. This is such a weird movie.
So we're doing Spoilercast here, right? Like,
yeah,
we're in Spoilercast territory.
Mm-hmm.
I walked away from this movie in my head. The main predominant thought is that may be the worst fucking ending I've ever seen to a movie ever.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about, like, we shouldn't start at the end, but I want to talk about that ending when we get to it.
Okay.
God. But I really, like, I walked away from this movie thinking this is god-awful. I'm buying the Blu-ray day one.
Oh my god, I had the same exact thing.
Like, I'm gonna watch this, like, 10 more times.
I already have the art book, so fuck me.
Yeah, you're in there.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, what a fucking beautiful mess.
Where should we begin?
The beginning, because they started in the weirdest fucking place in the world.
Hey, I hope you didn't think Roland was the main character of this movie.
Dude, I could not believe...
It's fucking Jake Chambers.
So, I know some people early on were like, I'm afraid they're gonna, like, young adult it, and I was like, they never know they young adulted it so hard. He's the main character, man.
Dude.
Roland's like, this is barely Roland's movie.
Like, okay, so, like, I'm gonna expose us a little bit, because we're fucking losers. For, like, 2 weeks now, we've had Skype calls where we're just like, alright, dude, this is how I think the movie's gonna open. Like, I think it's gonna flow like this. And we did touch on, hey, they might open with the Jake stuff.
Yeah.
I was expecting that. I wasn't...
Because he's the regular kid audience surrogate.
I wasn't expecting it to just be his movie.
the first 1/3, there is almost no Roland.
You don't see Roland until like 10 minutes in, and then it's a flashback that Jake is dreaming, and
Yep.
then you don't properly meet Roland until like 1/3.
Yep. Was not expecting that.
And even when you do meet Roland, he has so little characterization, and you only ever see him through Jake's eyes.
Yeah.
They do things where he'll walk away from a scene, and we don't follow him. We stay with Jake.
Yep.
Jake is the main character.
Well, Zach, he shines.
He shines. Hey, he shines. Wink, wink.
That was...
All right, man.
Oh, I cringed so bad, Zach.
You have never seen a scriptwriter with a bigger grin and wink, wink, nudge, nudge than every time they, like, it's almost like when they say the word shine, there's a dramatic pause and they say it a little bit louder.
I know.
Jake, you know you shine. You shine so bright,
You have
Jake.
the shine.
You have the shine. I just want to point out, by the way, it makes total logical sense for them to call it the shine, because hey, Stephen King's universe has like 3 or 4 different versions of psychic abilities.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just make it all one thing. That's fine. If you just said that Jake shined in the movie, that's fine. It's the way they do it that's like, well, like, we get it.
It would have been cute if that first time I was like, oh, that's goofy, but that's cute. And then they kept doing it.
They say it. Dude.
So here's the thing, though. They say it the first time, and then they say it a few more times, and I'm like, okay, that's getting a little... And then, as soon as I was like, I'm starting to get a little annoyed, they start using it over and over and over. Like, they double down and then double down more.
Dude, the parts where it's like, the guns are my weapon, your shine is your weapon. Don't, he's tracking your shine.
Yeah.
Dude,
thanks, crazy homeless person, by the way.
And the way it works is literally just like, no, it's The Shining. Do you get it? He's like the character from The Shining. Do you get it? Because like so in the Dark Tower books, they call it they call it the touch, I think.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things where it's like, hey, is that kind of like the same thing as the shine? Maybe, but like it's not exactly 100% the same way it's depicted, so whatever. No, it's like, hey, did you get it that this is like a sequel to all of Stephen King's other work? Did you get it?
Yeah. Did you catch the 1408 reference?
I did. Did you catch the bit where the kid's in the room playing with Christine Carr?
Yeah. That was cute.
Did you like how the opening of this movie had 19 plastered all over it?
Yep.
Alright, dude.
And the code was 1919 to go to Midworld.
The code was 1919 to go to Midworld. Also, all across, at least America, the first screening of the movie was at 7:19.
Yep, we both went at 7:19 in our respective time zones.
Which, in a 24-hour clock, is 1919.
Hey, that's cute.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing, where if you're the kind of person who can see all that stuff and smile and chuckle, then maybe you'll get some enjoyment out of this.
And I feel like that's where we're at, where we're like, this is bad, but like, as fans that weren't, we both went into this knowing that we're going to get a butchered-ass version of this story.
So, here's the thing about that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, on a basic level, the way the story, not the script, the way the story went about trying to condense ideas from all 7 books into one was actually pretty decent.
I think they did some smart decisions with that and also making room for that. I feel like what really killed it was the editing.
The editing and the script.
Yeah, the script was really.
But like the decision to tie in the whole beam destroyers psychic kids plot of the last two books into the Jake stuff from books 1 and 3, I feel like that worked pretty well.
I do too. I also I feel like this movie, if this movie had 30 to 40 more minutes of maybe just slowing the fuck down, letting people talk.
It needs an extra 60, man.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, you're right. I could tell in some scenes that Tom Taylor was having his voice dubbed because he gave maybe a crappy performance.
So there were rumors that like people were saying like, hey, could you recast one of these leads?
Yeah, I feel kind of bad for that kid because I don't think he did terrible, but he's very outclassed by McConaughey's cheesy ass performance. And Idris Elba. Okay, Idris Elba's weird because I feel like the script completely failed him in this movie.
The script did completely fail him, but he's got the fucking attitude and tone down.
Exactly.
So there was one part. So Roland as a character he's in a very particular place in books 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Before the quartet, which never came up in this movie, but before
they didn't even say Ka.
They didn't say Ka. Hey, dude, they never fucking said there are other worlds than these.
Yeah, which is also crap.
So before the quartet comes together, Roland is like a broken down, paranoid, like mess of a person.
Mm-hmm.
That comes through relatively well in here. And the one scene, funnily enough, where I went, hey, that's fucking Roland, is when he first meets Jake, and Jake mentions the Man in Black, and he fucking
dangles him off
a cliff, and it's like,
that
are you a
good.
trick? What are you? Like, that's fucking book 1 Roland right there.
Yeah.
The other parts, not so much, but...
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting decision to have Jake's family more family. So here's the thing. In the books,
it's the opposite family.
Yeah, in the books, Jake comes from a really financially well-off family. His parents don't give a fuck about him, really.
He's like raised by a nanny.
Exactly. He's raised by like their maid. And they're like, his whole thing is like, my parents don't fucking care about me. They're not gonna care if I go on this dumb multiverse adventure. I care way more about these people than my parents ever cared about me, sort of thing. Like, he's super like, I don't care. I thought the idea, what if they changed that so Jake's a little more middle class, lower class. Like, they're a rough family with issues. The idea of having Jake mirror Roland in a way where Jake loses his father figure and Roland lost his father figure, I thought was a good idea that they could have maybe done a little bit better job at executing.
Oh, you mean give it more than one line?
Yeah.
Because it's given one line. No, I'm sorry, it's given 2 lines. There's one line where Roland says, hey, I'll kill him for both of us, and then there's a line where Jake says, you killed my parents.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
And what's tragic as fuck to me, that there's no easy way they would have been able to get this in there. Come Wizard and Glass, you find out that Roland killed his mom by mistake. I was really hoping there'd at least be some sort of nod where, like, Jake's like, my mom's dead, and Roland was like, would react to that, because, like, he, would.
Well,
but they did nothing with that. They didn't even reference Roland's mom at all.
Yeah, they did.
When?
When the Man in Black is talking with Roland towards the end, and he mentions that he's killed everyone Roland's ever known, he refers to his mother in that speech.
Okay.
He even calls her, like, I forget the exact wording, but he calls her, like, your soft-skinned mother.
Yeah.
Maybe implying the bit where he sleeps with her.
Yeah.
I did notice something about the way we're talking right now, which is that, much like the movie, if you don't know anything about the Dark Tower, this conversation is fucking impenetrable for you.
Yeah.
So I think we should at least give a basic synopsis of the plot of the film to give some structure. Do you want to take that, or do you want me to? Or
I can take that, and then you can come up with the assist, because I'm sure I'll fuck up.
Sure.
So we open with a little boy named Jake Chambers, who's having some visions. There are also earthquakes. Jake is... Fuck. We're already off to a start.
Well, hey, it's the fucking movie, man.
Jake is a boy living in an apartment in New York City suburbs. Jake's dad was a firefighter who died in darkness and fire. And they constantly say darkness and fire. And now his mom is dating a stepdad who's kind of a douchebag, who's, like, kind of wants... Like, they basically all, but they outright say that, like, stepdad wants to fucking have Jake's mom all to himself, and he kind of thinks Jake gets in the way of that. Jake starts having nightmares related to the earthquakes, where he sees a man in black, a gunslinger, and a dark tower, and, like, a bunch of other crazy shit. He goes to a therapist and talks it out, and the therapist is like, dude, this is just you manifesting your thoughts regarding your dad's death, and you need to let it go, that sort of thing. Suddenly, things from Jake's vision start to attack him and are real. But luckily, thanks to the power of the internet, he finds the house with a magical portal that leads to the world he's having dreams of, and then he meets a gunslinger. They kind of meet and bond a little bit. They find a village. The village gets attacked. Everyone learns that Jake is very special, and he's the one child in the multiverse that can destroy the Dark Tower if the big bad man hooks him up to a machine. So the bad men want him. Then they fight, and then they go to New York. Then they fight. Jake's mom dies.
There's hilarious fish out of water comedy with Roland.
You know what? That hospital scene is my favorite in the movie.
Hey, man. So during that scene, in the back of my mind, there was a little prickle of going, oh, this is like that scene in Thor. But that aside, it was pretty funny.
Well, they cut that at the perfect time where it just says, "Give me my guns." That was great.
Fantastic. I also liked him handing the coin, being like, "This is for your services."
That was good.
Also, the scene of him in the bus, "You've forgotten the face of your fathers."
That stuff was... Oh, well, also, too, near the end, what is this, hot dog? And then he just looks away and he's like, savages.
What breed?
Yeah. The fish out of water stuff was cute.
And
I
hey,
liked that.
to be fair, the fish out of water stuff in the books, when they got to it, like book two, was good too. They took one thing from the books.
Yeah.
They changed it.
Oh, well, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking about the most, horrific change that honestly is disgusting for them to even fucking dare.
Mm-hmm.
This is some good Pepsi.
Oh, they changed it from Pepsi to Coke.
They changed it from Pepsi to Coke. However, they were very, 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 very clever to have his hand covering the Coca-Cola logo.
Yeah.
So it was changed from Pepsi to this red can of cola with no name. He asked what it is, and the answer is sugar.
Yeah. So,
sorry.
I just have like a few random thoughts that I've had jumbled in my head.
Yeah.
The one point where the tower gets attacked and they see it, and then Roland goes, "That's a beamquake." So that was a weird thing in my head where I'm like, that's one of like the shitty, douchey, sarcastic names that Eddie comes up with.
Yeah. It's
really weird. Like, I mean, I know they're mixing everything together, but it's like, it's really weird that that's just kind of what they decide to keep with it. Man, the scene where they cut to Matthew McConaughey making a fucking chicken dinner, I lost it. It is the most absurd vision I've seen in a movie in a while.
Hey, man. I fucking loved Matthew McConaughey in this movie.
He is chewing the scenery up so hard.
I would never say it was good. I fucking love it.
Stop breathing.
Dude, it's so much fun. Like, they do a pretty good job of making him intimidating in the fact that he just tells people to stop breathing.
Well, he just gets up from a table and tells two people to kill each other.
Yeah, so okay. Hey, the man in black, Walter, whatever, it's Randall Flagg.
Yeah.
From The Stand, Eyes of the Dragon. He is a big recurring character in Stephen King's work. This is not that character.
No.
However, I would say, out of the 2 live-action versions of Randall Flagg we've gotten, that being this and the one from the Stand miniseries, if you somehow found a middle ground between the 2, I feel like you have it.
I feel like they would have had it if they had this guy being a little bit more jokey and upbeat and a little more lighthearted is a weird way to put it, but like he doesn't have that, like, I can't see this guy making dumb pop culture references, you know.
Hey, you know what I can't see this guy doing?
What?
Writing "hi there" with a smiley face on a wall.
Yeah, that too.
That's something that book Walter would do.
Yeah.
But like with movie Walter, it's not there. The one thing I did really like about him is that in the books he does walk around and just fuck with people he's passing.
Yeah.
And he does do that a little bit in this movie, like where he walks past the little girl and tells her to hate. He just fills the little girl with the emotion of hatred, and then that's all he does.
I thought he said hey.
I heard hate.
I think you're right, because then the little girl looks like all fucked up.
Yeah, she's laughing with her mom. He passes her by and tells her to hate, and then she looks at her mom like, fuck you.
Yeah, okay. I misheard that as hate, and I was just like, oh, she knows something's up. But then, yeah, no, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I love that we saw a fucking thinny.
Yeah, we did.
And monsters pouring out in what is probably one of the most poorly lit action sequences I've seen in a movie in a while.
Hey, the action in general in this movie wasn't very good.
No.
The fight between Roland and Walter was serviceable. It was decent enough.
I think the entire last shootout I enjoyed, but like they're fucking Roland's jumping off of the like railing like into the middle of that like area was the goofiest shit ever. I loved it.
The action scene in the town was okay. It was a lot of just like him just standing there and then shooting a gun and something dying.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is kind of how he acts, but
yeah.
If you're gonna change something for a movie, maybe up the action a bit.
I like how they're like, oh, what, his one arm is like infected or whatever, and like they tried to use that to like hinder him, but then sometimes he just pulls out the second arm anyways to reload, and it's like, oh.
Dude, that goes nowhere, because like they go to the hospital and it's like, okay, you need to stay here overnight to heal, and he goes, no, and they're like, but you have all these issues. He's like, nah, I'm fine, and then he's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I really thought that they were leading up to, oh, he's gonna lose that fucking arm. Because
honestly, I kind of thought that too.
In the books, like at the beginning,
he loses a hand.
At the beginning of book 2, he loses like almost all the fingers on his main hand. You know?
Yeah, you're right. He loses the fingers. He doesn't lose the hand.
So I really thought that was leading up to like we gotta take the arm, and it's like, hey, here's gonna be the bit where he has to learn how to shoot with the one gun.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of like, oh, that's why he's like, hey, they've got that scene where Jake's holding the other gun, but then he just takes it back and tells him that, no, your power is the shine.
And that was such a good figurative father-son scene.
Yeah.
That was, like, legitimately good.
I really liked that scene.
And then he's immediately like, okay, give me the gun back. And
yeah.
I was like, oh, come the fuck on.
Really good use of dumb... There was a lot of... So we didn't get Ka, we didn't get Katet, we didn't get their other worlds in these, but we got Long Days and Pleasant Nights. We got Thanky Sai, you know?
Mm-hmm.
There was stuff in there for us.
We got Taheen. They did have animal faces in the end, even though they look like orcs in the trailers.
They look like orcs in the one scene. Hey, dude, I really think that at some point in planning the attack on the town, those things are supposed to be slow mutants.
I can see that.
Because the Taheen are animal faces still in this movie.
Yeah.
Except that one scene where they're orcs.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. Whew.
There's that one thing that Walter keeps saying that I kept chuckling at, which was, Roland, always impervious to my magics.
Oh my fucking god. That makes no sense.
My magics.
I thought you killed all the gunslingers. Well, this one always was strong against my magic.
No, but he says magics every
You're right,
time,
magics.
plural.
You're right, that is magic.
And that's the part that kills me. Oh, Jesus Christ. I thought the final blow to Walter was goofy as shit.
I have a lot of things to say about that ending that I'm holding in.
Okay.
I do want to say I thought the rivalry dynamic between Roland and Walter was actually really well done. It is completely different from what it is in the books.
Yeah.
I thought that it worked. I thought that Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey have enough chemistry, not great, but enough to pull it off. And I liked the scene. I liked the flashback scene where Walter kills his father.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked that we talked about the Face Me Walter line personally before. We always assumed it was just the one scene. I liked that was a callback. Because he tells him to face him in the flashback where he kills his father. And then later on in the second half of the movie, when he's being like, I'm looking at you through my magic orb, he tells him again.
He's looking at him through Black 13. I love that.
He is looking at him through Black 13, yes. Let's stick to magic orb for now.
Yes.
He says again, like, stop hiding behind your magic and face me. And I thought that was that was like almost the semblance of like a proper script somewhere in there, but
mm-hmm.
You know, I liked that I liked that Walter constantly called him my old friend.
Yeah, that was cute. That's echoing Book Walter a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like anything else. Yeah, no, honestly, this feels like the most they could have done this version of this project so much better. Because there's so gonna be I already can see there's so much shit going on where like you're gonna have there are people still mad that Idris Elba is playing Roland. I don't agree. I think Idris Elba is a great Roland.
He's fantastic.
And part of that is the race thing too, which is shitty.
Yeah, of course.
Which I'm also mad because this movie, like, not being super great is gonna be fuel for those assholes to be like, well, it shouldn't have made him a black guy, and it's like, fuck off. Like you said, I think they did a good job in a lot of ways with realizing we're not just gonna do the gunslinger, we're gonna tie in everything and kind of make like a weird mix and match of all the elements. They just needed so much more time to explain everything and have some deeper characterization.
So I have something to say about this as well.
Yeah.
We were so lied to.
Yes.
For a while now. And what is now, to me, in hindsight, the most obvious marketing ploy ever.
Mm-hmm.
They have been saying, hey, fans of The Dark Tower, this is actually a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
And you get it. They won't get it. You get it. And hey, I'm going to post this thing on my Twitter of the Horn of Eld, and it's going to be like, you get it.
Stephen King, by the way.
Stephen King.
Stephen King posted a photo of the Horn of Eld, which is a callback to the very end of the series of books.
He does not have that horn in this movie, Rasen.
Nope. I noticed that too.
During this movie, the idea of this being a sequel falls apart entirely. Mm-hmm. It was not written that way at all. this is supposed to be an adaptation of the Dark Tower, and they realized afterwards that it being so different might upset some people, so they started saying, hey guys, it's the sequel.
You know what's... I realized towards the end, too. So we can get into the ending, you could say what you want to, but I just want to point this out, and we can lead in with this, I guess. Because this movie is kind of watered down in the sense that it's a lot lighter of a story than The Gunslinger was, with a very happier ending, you can make the stupid case, oh, this is the next iteration of events where everything went better, and it's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Now, say what you want to say about the ending. I'm curious to hear how this goes.
Okay. First, I'm going to ask you a question, Rasen.
Yep.
What is Roland's character arc in this movie?
I care about the tower again and also this child.
Hey, when does he ever say he cares about the tower again?
Never.
Never. Roland's character arc through this movie, which is very different from the books, is I gave up the quest for the tower long ago. I now only care about revenge.
Mm-hmm.
There is a scene where Jake says, hey, you may not care, but I care because my world's still at stake, so you should care. And Roland does not give him an answer.
Yeah.
So at the end of this movie, and this is the ending of the movie, I'm not leaving anything out, Roland kills the man in black, presumably. If there's a sequel.
Did you stay after the credits?
No.
So there's not a scene, but at the very end of the credits, you get like the last like company logo, and you hear him doing that whistle he does throughout the movie.
Okay. So yes. I was gonna say if there's a sequel, he will be back.
Yeah.
But okay, perfect. So as far as Roland knows, he's killed the man in black.
Mm-hmm.
He then shoots the machine that Jake is trapped in to save Jake. Jake leaves the portal. The portal closes. They're now on our Earth, Keystone Earth or whatever, leaving the man in black behind in there. It cuts to presumably later that day or the next day. They eat a hot dog. Yep. Roland says, I gotta leave, right? Hey, Jake, do you want to come with me? You've got no family left. Jake goes, yeah, sure, totally. Cool, let's go. And then they walk in a door and you see the flash of the portal. And then the movie ends.
Yep.
Roland's character never gets any resolution. You never learn what he plans to do after getting his revenge. He never says he wants to protect the tower. There's one line of like, we're gunslingers, but he never, ever implies that he has any plan. They never say where they might go next. There is no destination. There is no prophecy to set up future events, which the entire crux of book 1 is, hey, we're going to throw some fucking prophecies at you because this is going to be a series.
Yep.
Never addressed. There are no references or hints to anything upcoming.
We have one thing.
What do we have?
We have references to the Crimson King.
Yes!
Very vague references to the Crimson King.
But, as far as Roland's character goes,
nothing.
He never gives a fucking shit about the Crimson King.
He probably doesn't even know he exists, to be honest with you.
Probably not. Hey, Jake probably knows more about the Crimson King than Roland does.
Honestly, yeah.
So yeah, that's my thing. A couple problems. One, what portal did they walk through? Because what the fuck? They made a very strong point about like portals being kind of like well guarded and hard to find. But I guess
I think the idea is New York has a bunch of them.
Well, I guess there was one behind that door they chose to walk in.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they did not. I feel like at some point in this script there was set up for future movies that they scrapped because they got scared.
Yeah.
And by cutting that out, you are left with a character that has no resolution, no no future goal, and the main drama of the movie, the internal drama of what should be the main character, apparently ends with he gets his revenge and then they just leave.
Yeah.
That's the ending of this movie.
Because here's the thing, from this perspective, they could have this two ways. One, the tower is saved because, hey, they broke the fucking device and the man in black is dead. Or two, no, they still gotta deal with, like, him coming back because he's not dead. And also Crimson King shit.
Right. My problem with that is that they didn't tell us that Roland cares.
Yeah, they didn't.
At no point.
They really should have.
So, I think maybe on some level they thought that him saying the creed again meant he cares. But that doesn't work.
I feel like at this point, though, the creed is more of a Roland Jake thing than it is a Roland legacy. I mean, it's a lot. It means a lot of things in this movie.
Yeah.
But I felt like that was more a Roland Jake moment than it was a Roland Tower moment.
Yeah, sure. You do get the one bit where he's like, I haven't said this creed in a long time.
Yeah.
But, like, that's all you got.
I like how they kind of hint at the whole Roland is actually centuries old idea, too.
Yes. Well,
time is
weird. And like, they never explain it, of course, because why would they explain anything?
They don't explain anything.
But
this movie is incomprehensible to a regular audience. Oh, by the way, I want to say, how full was your theater, Zach?
More full than I thought it'd be, to be fair.
Same. I thought I would possibly be, because I've gone to Thursday showings in my town.
Yeah.
Where I have been the only person.
Hey, I still remember when I went to see Silent Hill Revelations, or whatever it was called, the second Silent Hill movie on day one. I was the only person in that theater.
I saw this movie at, like, well, we already said we went 719, haha. The theater was 3/4 of the way full.
Mine was about half.
I was shocked. A lot of it was older people too, who at first I was like, there's a lot of people that read the books, and then I noticed that there was me and a dude like a few rows down that every time there was like a Dark Tower reference would kind of go like, hey. And we were the only two people doing that, so either everyone else just wasn't impressed, or we were the only two like actual book fans in there. I don't know, but
my theater was dead silent except for the hospital and bus scenes where there are a couple of chuckles.
We got a lot of laughs at all of the Roland is a fish out of water, haha. Especially like the ending too.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Fuck me. There was a dude in the bottom right corner of the theater that fucking died at the Guns and Bullets in Your World line.
Oh god.
It was so awkward.
You know he saw the trailer.
Him. Probably.
Yeah. So
what a movie.
So that's where I'm at with this movie. I cannot stress enough that I enjoyed watching this movie a lot. Like, I enjoyed this movie so much that it might be my movie of the year.
Nice.
I really enjoyed watching it. I would not recommend this to any human being on Earth.
It's, you know what? At this point, I'm glad it's not a complete train wreck. There are parts of this movie I really loved.
Yeah. I mean, the parts that I love are dumb fan service, but, like, they're there.
Yeah. Like, honestly, that's all I wanted from this movie at this point. And I know that's coming from a place of, well, I set my expectations so low.
Yeah.
But, like, I got kind of what I wanted out of it in a way, but also, too, like, it's... No matter how you cut it, it's a bad movie. I still had fun with it, and that's fine, you know?
I feel like the main thing holding it back for me, like, fully embracing it, is, like, I really do think that ending is unacceptable.
It's pretty bad.
I think the way the movie ends is really bad, and the fact that they never resolve Roland's character arc is fucking atrocious.
Honestly, thinking about it more, I think the whole idea of like, oh, he gave up the tower in search of revenge is kind of. I don't know if I needed that. Like,
It's bad.
here's my thing. Roland's an asshole in the books because he's obsessed with the tower.
Yes.
Protect the tower at all costs. If I have to kill a couple hundred innocent people to save the tower, fuck it, that's fine. I I honestly feel like they could have made it so it's like he's obsessed with the tower and he's like, I don't need some kid tagging along for this. And cuz like Flag is still trying to break the tower. So his whole thing could just be like, I want to kill him because it's personal, but also I need to protect the tower. Like, like you could work that in.
And I mean, to be fair, the book has both of those.
Exactly.
There's very clearly a personal thing between Roland and Flag in those books.
I don't really get the need to have Roland apathetic to the tower other than, like, to give, like, Jake an excuse to be, like, the heart,
And I would have been fine with that if they fucking resolved it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying mostly it's not just the fact that they didn't resolve it. It's that the plot moves on without resolving that, so that the character's actions make no sense to me.
Yeah.
Because the fact that he is presumably continuing this journey and taking Jake along with him does not make sense for the character that we meet throughout that movie.
Mm-hmm.
The character that is so obsessed with defeating the Man in Black and saying, like, well, I don't really, like, these worlds are dead anyway. I don't care about that anymore. To never have a moment where he says, I do care about that now. It's just one line. It's all you needed.
It was something.
It's a bad movie. I love it. 10 out of 10.
I'm glad I saw it. It's weird. It's weird. I feel like a chapter of my life is closed because I've been waiting for this goddamn thing since I was like 14, 15, like I said.
Oh, well, I mean, it's not closed yet. Get excited for that TV series. That's happening.
Hey, did you see the news with that today?
Yes.
So, some dude from The Walking Dead that made seasons that a lot of people really fucking hate's gonna be a big showrunner for that TV series.
So, did you read the quote from him?
No.
The quote is actually super interesting.
What is it?
Because it presents a version of that TV series that is exactly what we said they should do. So he's talking like, yeah, so I mean, I'm super excited to go all in on this. I love these books. He's like, I think 10 to 13 episode series would be a lot better for what I want to do than a movie. Because, like, I'm looking at the Gunslingers flashbacks, Wizard and Glass, and Wind Through the Keyhole, and that story is told best in a longer format.
Hey, guess what?
Yeah.
That's all I need is a good Wizard and Glass screen adaptation.
But, like, hey...
That's all I need, man.
Hey... starting that with the flashbacks that you see in the Gunslinger, and sure, maybe bringing in a little bit of Wind Through the Keyhole stuff in there would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, hey, I don't think that TV show's getting made.
I think it hinges on how this does, which probably won't do great.
I think we know how this is gonna do.
Yeah. The only thing that's stopping me from, like, unless they really decide to cancel that, is, like, they seem to be fucking really going in on that for 2018.
They are. However, it is rather telling that they have not started yet.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you saw it, but there was an interview with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey that went up on YouTube, like, yesterday, where they get asked the question of, like, so, like, what do you guys think about for, the future of this series? And both of their answers is, like, a very, like, awkward, well, if people want to see more and like this one, maybe there'll be something somewhere, but,
That's kind of the director's at the end of the fucking art book, where he says, like, man, I'd like to do more, depends on if people see it. He also like has a really interesting quote that's like, well, streaming services are really popular nowadays, so if push comes to shove, um, I feel bad for Nick Arcel. It's very obvious reading that book he really has like a deep connection and love for the Dark Tower. Um, and I feel like it kind of fell apart around him. I feel like a lot of this movie's faults are at a studio mandate level,
I could agree with that. I think an
which
extra half an
sucks.
hour and some better editing might have helped. Hey, like honestly, I'd be legitimately interested in learning if there is actually like deleted scenes.
I would love a director's cut of this movie.
Like if the footage exists to make this better, oh man, that'd be awesome.
This is just a side note. So I think we talked about this. You know that there's a Spider-Man 3 editor's cut that was released recently?
You brought it up, but I never looked into it.
It's literally just that they had a different edit of the movie that they decided at last minute they didn't want to make it the theatrical version of. It replaces like a couple scenes with some more character driven shit. It's almost exactly the same movie except for like 4 minutes worth.
Nice.
It's bad. No, I love a director's cut of this though, or just honestly, like, I hope the Blu-ray has some. I think the Blu-ray would have some interesting commentary and other
Yeah.
shit. Um, Actually, you know what? One thing I want to address real quick. So people have been giving Stephen King shit because Stephen King's been saying for weeks now, "I love this. I think they did a great job."
Yeah.
I honestly seen this movie. I could see why he would like this movie a lot.
I think he loves this movie. This
I,
movie takes a lot of what he wanted to put in those books and condenses it into an hour and a half.
I legitimately, because people are like, oh, of course, because his money in his pocket. Like, no, Stephen King's not that fucker. Stephen King doesn't need more money in his pocket, first of all.
Yeah.
This is the dude that when some fucking studio executive for a massive Hollywood production was like, yeah, we're gonna make 4 Stan movies, and we're working really heavily with Stephen King. He's really involved. He's really enthusiastic. Stephen King the next day was like, well, it's the first I'm fucking hearing about it. Fuck these guys. He does not care at all about movie people and their feelings. He notoriously dislikes The Shining, and he even says like, hey, that's a great film. That's a very personal work for me, and they took out the personal things from what I cared about in that piece. He is very honest about his feelings about movies and whether or not he likes or dislikes them. I think he actually just likes this movie.
And to be fair, I also like this movie.
I do too.
I enjoy watching this movie, and I will enjoy watching it again.
Dude, I'm so excited to get the Blu-ray. Man, like, I was really worried there that this is gonna be like a complete dumpster fire of a thing. I was happy that I had fun with it, you know?
I mean, it's garbage.
Yeah.
It
No,
is
this is
not
one of the best garbage films I've seen, like, from a personal perspective.
the thing is, this is not for general audience, and this is not for most Dark Tower fans.
No, most of them are super pissed about this.
Yeah.
You have to be accepting of, I'm not getting the Dark Tower, I'm getting, like, a cute little fan service thing, which, like,
And you know
is
what?
a very narrow branch of people.
I'll be honest, like 5 years ago, maybe I would be super pissed about this, but like at some point, I've like mellowed out about like adaptations being like, no, I want to see the thing I liked on screen. Like, I don't know, I had fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, like, I don't know, I just can't really work up a lot of like super anger over things like that anymore.
Yeah, like, I'm at a point where it's like, you know what? When people try to adapt the unadaptable, you're gonna end up getting shit like Snyder's Watchmen, which, to be fair, Snyder's Watchmen is the only Snyder thing I've ever seen that I really like that Watchmen movie, but that thing is fucking goddamn too long because of how faithful it is. It's absurd. And all the slow-mo, but, like, I'm fine with shit like this nowadays, where it's like, I don't need everything. And also, too, like, hey, man, straight up, fucking Wizard of Oz is actually something I saw in a couple reviews, I think, actually, of this movie. Like, Wizard of Oz as a movie is not faithful at all to that original book. It's a fucking goddamn great movie, you know? Like, things don't need to be faithful. I'm happy enough if something wants to take a general mythos, like, ideology and theme and kind of portray it for the right place of the medium. Obviously, I'm not saying that the Dark Tower did that necessarily,
Uh,
but it's cute seeing some of the mythos and ideas that I've loved reading on the screen, even if it's not great.
yeah, like
It's heavily flawed.
I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about ways this movie could have been better, because
Yeah.
this movie could have been good. They could have done a better job, and they didn't. They botched it, but I still enjoyed what I got.
Yeah. Like honestly, going into it from that perspective, if you're a Dark Tower fan, it's just like keep an open mind and just be like, if you want to see dumb Dark Tower shit butchered together into a movie, this is your thing. If you're looking for like, man, I want the gunslinger, like you're not fucking getting this.
I'll also say
So.
too that I feel like the type of movie this is died out a couple of years ago. I feel like this movie would have had a better shot, even if this movie was better. I feel like it would have had a better shot in like 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Like this isn't the kind of movie people really want to see right now. This kind of like Hollywood action, but like it's a very particular type of action movie with very set character tropes that feels dated now. I feel like people want something a bit more grand and maybe a bit more serious. I don't know. I feel like where movies are at right now is not a good climate for this to come out, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I feel like people don't want to see this movie. So, like, as a casual moviegoer audience, like this thing is in a wrong era already, before the problems with it, you know?
So the one thing I will say, like we're saying, like we both enjoyed it despite it's a fucking garbage film, like we've said 1,000 times already. One thing that I'm kind of like, is this, I think, kills the idea, at least for a little bit now, of getting, like, proper adaptation of all the books as, like, an HBO thing.
Never gonna happen, yeah.
It's, yeah.
Maybe,
like, 10 years from now, but...
Even then, I think this is all we're gonna get. This is it. This is what we got. That. And I don't think we're getting a sequel.
No, I don't see, at least not in movie form.
Even if the Wizard and Glass show happens, which I don't think it will, but even if it does, that's it. I do not think...
I think it's going to end there, too, if it does
happen. I don't think we're getting the drawing of the three.
Yeah. Which kind of sucks, because I'd like to see a Susanna and Eddie...
Yeah.
And an oi, but... there's a little raccoon talking reference where he's like, oh, the animals still talk in your world. I was like, hey.
That was super cute.
Yeah.
By the way, those things will be in the Wizard and Glass show, apparently.
Oh.
The Walking Dead guy specifically said, yes, we will have them.
Oh, I wanted to say, too, so with that Walking Dead guy, so I saw people, and this was like in like a community space that like it's not a bunch of Dark Tower fans. Like some dude was like, "Oh, they like Dark Tower fans are so lucky they got a butchered movie, and then they're getting like one of the shittiest Walking Dead like producers on to fucking be the guy behind their like prequel series." And a bunch of people went on that guy like, "Okay, to be fair, it wasn't that guy's fault. There was a bunch of stuff coming from AMC that made that season shitty." So maybe he's not... I don't know enough about the dude, so maybe it's not his fault. Hopefully, maybe there'd be something decent in that TV series.
Yeah.
Even if it's of this quality, I'd still probably enjoy it, but...
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I enjoyed it.
I hope it's better.
Well, yeah, it would be nice if it was better. But, like, I also am curious how the drawing of the three could even happen with the way this movie ends, but I guess it would be completely different anyway.
Yeah, honestly, you know what? Kind of fine if there's not a sequel. I can live without it. We got this.
I would like to see more, but like it would have to be better, you know?
You know, of all fucking like other than Eddie and Susanna, there's part of me that's like, what the fuck would they do with the Crimson King?
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's best that we just have this and be over, you know?
Like it's something. But like, man, we're saying all this, there's one part that really stood out to me in my viewing experience where Roland is just shooting people left and right during the like village attack.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, this could have been the coolest fucking Battle of Tull ever.
Yeah. Dude,
But it's
I
never
was
gonna happen.
I was waiting, for like a mention, but
Yeah. Honestly though, like, hey, at the end of the day, even if like this is bad, still got the books. I still really love the books,
I do
and
have
like it's fun.
one question.
Yeah.
Did I miss something, or did you see Susan at all in this?
No.
And how come
I
she
don't.
was cast?
Oh.
There has to be some cutscenes.
Oh, dude.
I
There are
I
like
remember
there.
her being cast for this movie.
I do too.
She's on the Wikipedia page.
Yeah. No, it's super obvious that this whole fucking movie was cut. Like, so actually that's something too. So there's like two different like studios working on this film, and they both had like different control over marketing and the content of the movie itself. And Stephen King had automatic veto power on anything in the movie. That's like too. I think, like I said, it's too many cooks in the kitchen for shit. There's a lot of ways that can go south.
Yeah. Hey, honestly, maybe it's just a case of like when they decided to do the Wizard and Glass show, the Susan stuff got cut, but
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I still hope that gets made, even if it like the one saving grace that I feel like this may have. Apparently, it was made on a really cheap budget, and some people are speculating it might do just well enough to get some of its money back. I wouldn't be surprised if it totally flops, to be honest.
well, critically, it's not doing well.
Well, critically, yeah, but like, here's the thing: financial
Yeah.
is everything. Like, at least to studio heads, and God knows what the fucking like overseas market wants nowadays. Like, China is super on Transformers, for example, and like, hey, this might be something that really appeals to that demographic. I'm personally not familiar enough to like what they're privy to, you know?
Yeah.
But like God only knows what could happen with this over there. Um no, but honestly though, like yeah, if like even if it did continue as like a dumb streaming thing, that'd be cute. But I do not think we'll ever get a Dark Tower movie again. At least
No.
not for a decade.
No, it will not happen.
Yeah.
It will never happen.
Woo. Like I don't want to say that though, because there are like you always read up on like different like film adaptations of books that like had a bad adaptation 30 years ago, you know.
Sure,
I down the line I can see someone again wanting to do it, but not for a while.
yeah.
This poisoned the well for
It's poisoned a lot of
for,
things.
Yeah, it did.
Why was it made this way? I know we've covered everything, so like just in a general thing, like why did they do this? Like why start with the Jake thing for so long? Why make Jake the main character? Why not have any character development for Roland?
I can tell you for a real good reason for that.
The young adult thing.
Young adult cells. Also, dude, this is the capital like C classic example of what the fuck is this mythology and lore bullshit. This is too confusing. Focus on the fucking kid from New York City.
Yeah.
You can't start with Roland in the desert chasing the man in black because random Joe Schmo Hollywood dude's like, what the fuck is this fantasy cowboy bullshit?
The problem with that is that I mean in terms of this movie is that like so much of Jake's character at the beginning of this movie is just I'm having visions of these important fantasy bullshit things.
Yeah.
And we don't really get to know him at all.
Mm-hmm.
No one in this movie feels like a real character.
Well, like, also, too, there's just some, like, weird... So, like, when Jake escapes from the Tahine at the start that are, like, the, like, you know, haha, we're from upstate psychiatrist
Yeah.
people, you'd almost think that his first reaction would be to go back to his like mom and be like, "Look, that fucker followed me onto a rooftop. You don't think I'm crazy now, do ya?
Well,
You
she
know,
did
like."
still.
But like, from what I saw though, like that guy chases him up a rooftop, and then we cut to him going to the town,
She calls
or
him
like
on his
going.
phone though.
Oh yeah,
She calls him on the phone and is like, "You can't run away. What are you doing?"
yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Also,
But even then, that's super. Like, your fucking kid just got chased up onto a rooftop by a driver,
yeah,
and some, like, that's not how humans should react. It's weird.
man, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say like not my favorite, but the best scene in the movie is the scene between the mom and Walter.
That was really creepy.
Like he was legitimately
and tragic.
like he was terrifying in that scene.
Yeah.
Like that was really good. And also her realization of who he was pretty good too.
Yeah. No, that was great. Like there's like a thing where like he kind of leaves that psychic mind in that room, you know, or like trap for Jake Shine to get caught on or whatever.
Yeah.
You see like him kind of like spooning his mom before he kills her. That's really creepy. Like,
yeah,
they did a good job of making everything about that disgusting and tragic and just raw, brutal.
I
loved that.
Sorry, I respect that they actually didn't show it, and that seems weird, but like I have a soft spot for like emotional editing in a way, where they do the thing where he starts to see it and Roland snaps him out of it and is like, "Don't look," you know? I thought that was pretty good.
Great. Just in general too, I'm like honestly like one of my first things right off the bat, man, I'm happy they didn't show us they didn't show us that dude burning alive at Walter's hand at the beginning too, and we just saw the reflection through his eyes.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? Now I know why that weird ass like cut of his eyes is in the trailer.
Yeah. Hey. Matthew McConaughey's good. I just can't believe we didn't get a scene of Roland having sex with a weird spirit demon.
Yeah. Who knew that would have been cut?
Jeez.
There's part of me too that would have liked Roland being put into a position where he has to make a choice like he does at the end of Gunslinger, but this time he decides to save Jake instead of going after Walter instead. Because that, I was just going to say, because hey, guess what? That would have made so much more sense in this fucking movie where more than ever Roland's character motivation is, I'm going to kill this asshole.
I feel like that is the sort of thing that would have been in this movie if they had come up with the sequel idea while writing the movie.
Yeah.
Like that's one of those things where it's like, this does not play off of the Gunslinger in any way. So like, yeah.
Think of how powerful that would be, where it's just like, we set up this dude as having this unhealthy obsession with revenge to the point where he's like, I don't give a fuck about the multiverse anymore, you know? And then he's like, I'm gonna save this kid. Like, that would have been really touching, but nah.
No, all we get is him killing Walter, getting his revenge, and then...
And I'm sorry, that bullet ricochet was the goofiest shit, and, like, it wasn't even, like, the bullet ricochet itself. Like, Walter's, like, kind of, like, snap-back reaction to it was so fucking goofy. So, I loved it.
I was thinking about this, and it's like, why does him saying the creed now suddenly make his bullets work?
Well, it's so, like, it gave him the idea of, I'm gonna ricochet my bullet off the other bullet.
I'm sorry, but he was doing fancy tricks before, and Walter didn't care.
He just needed to get the one good hit in.
Yeah, the one good hit.
But also, too, it's like, dude, you could have ricocheted your bullets way earlier.
Yeah.
Oh my god, when fucking he started flicking the bullets back with his hand, I cracked up. That was so dumb looking. Oh my god.
I knew it was coming when he started catching them, you know?
Well, honestly, what I thought too was when he pulled the one bullet he caught from the flashback at the beginning, I was like, oh, he shouldn't have fired that bullet. He's gonna do some shit to like that's how he's tracking him or something like that.
Mm.
But no, he just happened to keep that bullet for some weird reason.
Which never comes up again.
Yeah. Also, too, I just want to say, so I talked to Zach about this. There is concept art of Merlin's rainbow, the weird crystal orbs, like in the art book, and they look completely different in the film.
Yeah.
Because they look like weird cracked rocks with like glowing energy like cracking through them in the art book, and in the movie they're just crystal orbs, which I'm happy with. That's what I wanted. So
Yeah. It's fine.
I'm happy I saw it. It's bad, but I'm happy I saw it.
I enjoyed it. It's one of those enjoyments where it's like could have been something.
This is a definition guilty pleasure movie for me.
Yes, there you go. That's it. We spent like an hour to lead up to the most easiest thing to say.
Yeah. But yeah, go. I honestly, I can't even say go see it.
No,
like
it
can't.
would be too selfish of me to say go see it.
I know,
because I would be asking you to waste your money on garbage.
Like honestly, Zach, this is the cheesiest fucking shit to say. This is a WAFp movie.
You know, man, speaks to me.
like this is dude, that works on multiple levels more than I even envisioned. It has a bad ending and everything.
Yeah.
And it's not funny. Except for when it is. This was a movie made for us.
Yeah.
In so many ways, and like I can't blame everyone in the world hating it.
Yeah, I mean, and like the worst crime it commits is that underneath the incomprehensible gibberish and like nonsensical storytelling, bad script, terrible pacing, like
just layer it on.
Like underneath all of that, like the general plot flow in terms of action movies is generic. Like this is like script writing 101 stuff here.
It is a generic movie.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And I think honestly that's part of it where like I feel like they did a good job of capturing a lot of the spirit of the mythos and the feeling of the tower.
Yeah.
The fact that they kind of both the YA thing and also the generic action movie layout of it, you kind of lose a little bit of that spirit because of just how generic this plot plays out.
Yes.
Which kind of sucks, but...
Yeah. But, I guess death always wins.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna make a cut of this movie that's just all of the Walter scenes so I can just quote him forever.
I loved everything about his performance, even though it was so stupid at points.
Great. Perfect. That man is a treasure for this movie.
I love how, like, his shirt is just open all the time.
I know. I love the scene where he walks in and he's like, cover up rat face, you're in my house. Nice.
He's resistant to my magics.
Looks like I have a stalker.
Why the fuck was he making chicken dinner?
Well, you'll have to excuse him. He doesn't have a lot of chicken where he's from, even though he can come and go between worlds as he pleases.
Yeah.
I do like the, like, hey, like, these people won, and they have all the portals on lock, so...
Hey, what the fuck happened to the rest of the children?
They died, Rasen.
I guess they did. That building wasn't too far from their camps and it fucking exploded, so fuck them, I guess. Oh, also there's a cute reference where they're like, oh, he's in the northern wastelands, that's like 6 months away from here, and I was like, that's
Hey.
cute.
The Dark Tower 3, The Wastelands. I almost wanted, like, with the way they kept saying shine, I, like, wanted them to go all in on that more, to be like, come, Jake, it's time to make our The Stand.
Yep.
He's a wizard, and he's got some glass.
That's a nice little stick in the mud you got there. You know, my father showed me a drawing like that. He called it the drawing of the three.
Ah, yes, indeed, indeed. And, you know, at the end of the day, we are
Mr. Mercedes.
I was gonna say Hearts in Atlantis, but that works too.
Yeah. I think you need to go to Dr. Sleep, Jake.
Oh no.
The regulators. Well, that was an experience.
That was.
One I'm glad I had, but also, like, it's a weird feeling now that it's all over.
It's not over.
It's never over.
Hey, guess what, man? We'll be here again.
I hope that fucking Wizard and Glass series still happens.
Dude, I
really hope. I wouldn't be surprised if it got canned.
Man,
but
if that Wizard and Glass series comes out, we should do like a fucking like weekly fucking podcast.
Sub podcast.
Dude,
I'd be down.
Dude, just like a 20 to 30 minute video every fucking week of us just going at it.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah.
Well, we have no emails.
Not a single one.
Nope.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, it's fine. It was very last minute anyways. Hey, if you want to send us an email, it's at wearefinallyemail@gmail.com. You can ask us about anything.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be about the things we're talking about in the episode. Just general questions.
Yeah. Whew. Well, I think I'm gonna go to sleep and just think about the tower.
Yeah? Are you gonna dream about the tower?
Yeah, I'm gonna dream about the battle at Jericho Hill, which they never called Jericho Hill, which also made me mad.
Yeah, well. They didn't say a lot of things they should have said in this movie.
Stop breathing.
As laat in spoor.